When Bethesda announced that The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, one of the most successful RPGs of all time, was going to be converted into VR for PlayStation VR, it arguably changed the scope of VR experiences when it came to the incredibly new medium that was the VR space. Among flat game to VR conversions, it was the definitive experience when it came to a huge open world that you could enjoy in person with the aid of a VR headset. However, due to the limitations of the PlayStation Move controllers, it was difficult to feel truly immersed. The lack of traditional thumbsticks on the Move controllers led to player movement being awkwardly tied to the face buttons if you were not using teleport-based movement. And while teleportation is helpful for users prone to VR motion sickness, it can also take you out of the experience, reminding you that you're in a game. The game could be played with a standard controller in order to use thumbsticks, but that came at the cost of being unable to take advantage of the motion controls. Other issues included the 3D audio not always working as intended, as at times, it was difficult to differentiate where voices and footsteps were coming from. Perhaps the most puzzling of omissions is that Skyrim's iconic shout powers were not able to be controlled via use of your actual voice in the VR version of the game. This feature was actually supported for Xbox users who owned a Kinect, but this functionality was mysteriously missing in the VR version of the game. Ironically, the medium where such a feature would be most effective. 5 months after the release of the PlayStation VR version, the game was brought to PC, with minimal updates including sneak mode being activated by physically crouching. Since VR headsets for PC used motion controllers which included thumbsticks, PC VR users had access to a control scheme that surpassed the PSVR version of the game. However, unlike the console and PC versions of the regular game, there is no official mod support whatsoever. While Skyrim VR was a somewhat respectable experience back in 2017 when the VR landscape was still new, fast travel to today in 2022, and you can see the game stacks poorly against newer VR titles. Compared to the responsiveness and polish of Half-Life Alyx, and the weightiness of the physics-based combat in Blade and Sorcery, Skyrim VR in its vanilla state is now pretty underwhelming. In spite of this, Skyrim can give us something that those aforementioned games simply can't. Not due to any fault of their own, but because the scope of what these titles are accomplishing is different. While Alyx is an expertly constructed story experience, and Blade and Sorcery is an exhilarating combat simulator, they'll never be able to give you the same freedom and sense of adventure that Skyrim can. It turns out that the reason you would want to play Skyrim VR is the same reason why you wanted to play Skyrim in the first place, but this time with the allure of being truly inside its world. To achieve that sense of wonder that captured you almost 11 years ago, but in a new way. Interact with the world of Tamriel in a way you previously could only dream of. Unsheath your weapon by drawing it from your hip. Physically grab that loot you uncover in the dungeon. Shake your follower's hand after a good day of adventuring. Shoot torrents of magic out of your palms. Throw a dagger at your foe to knock them off balance. And look a dragon in the eyes and shout at it with your own voice to truly become the Dragonborn. Thankfully, the lack of official modding support for VR did not stop the amazing modding community from creating the tools to craft an unforgettable adventure in Skyrim. I'm Advisor Lorne, and I'll be showcasing various mods made for Skyrim VR that turn its bare-bones VR port on the PC platform into a fully fledged VR experience that can rival the best VR titles available today. For the most part, I will be showing off a mod list known as Foos, which was created and is continually updated by Kiadekvist and Kangar. This set of mods is installed through an automated mod installer known as Wabbajack, and it comes with clear and simple instructions for newcomers who are unfamiliar with modding or users who simply want to have a great Skyrim VR experience with minimal hassle. There is the slight caveat of needing a premium Nexus subscription, but if you had the VR headset and PC set up to play Skyrim VR, I think you can spare the one-time fee. Just saying. The mod list is carefully curated to be performance friendly and also highly customizable, so you can tailor-make the version of Skyrim you want to explore. Once you've had a taste of the game with this mod list, it is possible to add more mods into it to further your enjoyment. Most of the visuals you see in this video are reflective of the Foos mod list, but your game may look completely different based on what mod list you choose to install. For example, the city Whiterun in my personal mod list is quite the contrast in appearance to the one you'll see in Foos. In addition to the Foos mod list, all mods highlighted in this video are credited to their respective mod authors in the video description. When it comes to VR games, there are a few core components that need to be nailed to create an enticing experience. A way to feel as if you're attached to the world, and also the ability to interact with it. The mod VRIK gives you an actual body in the world of Skyrim, rather than those infamous floating weapons and hands present in the vanilla version of the game. Being able to see the gear that you crafted or earned from your adventures on your person makes the experience feel that much more personal. You also have the ability to holster weapons to your body, which lets you avoid the hassle of constantly going through menus that take you out of the experience. Reach behind your back for your bow, unsheath your sword from your hip, and grab the torch holstered on your leg to explore the darkness of a dungeon. VRIK also allows you to assign actions, such as pressing your right thumbstick on your controller while moving your hand to the right to equip a spell, or even quickly cast one, such as a quick healing spell if you're in a pinch. Other than spells, you can also bind shouts, powers, and even the ability to equip different sets of armor to certain actions. Oh, and you can also choose to hide that troublesome compass out of your view until you activate it by holding up your palm. That's in addition to being able to preview and admire your character with the selfie mode. VRIK gives you an actual presence in the world, but what about that other core VR component I mentioned? Being able to interact with the world. With the mod HIGGS, you can actually pick up objects placed all over the game with your hands, instead of floating them in front of you. This also works on dead bodies if you need to hide a corpse, or just want to throw someone off a tower for some odd reason. Hold a consumable item like a potion in front of your face and you'll use it. Grab a piece of loot and hold it over your back and you'll store it in your inventory. HIGGS actually allows you to interact with items in an intuitive way, removing several button presses from the process which would otherwise take away from the immersion. The mod also has a function similar to the gravity gloves from Half-Life Alyx. Hold out your palm towards an interactable item, and it'll glow blue if it's a safe object, or glow red if it'll flag you for stealing. Hold your trigger or grip button and flick your wrist, and the object will come flying into your hands. The other mod for world interaction is from the recently created PLANCK mod. This allows you and other objects to actually collide with NPCs. Weapons will no longer simply phase through your foes, but you'll actually see their bodies react to the collision. Grab an NPC's arm in the middle of combat, similar to Blade and Sorcery, as you slash at their body. It's not perfect, but it's incredible that a single mod author was able to implement this functionality. Tap an unsuspecting resident on the shoulder to annoy them.
Hey, watch it!
Feed those great desserts to some of the folks at your Vasker. Or maybe not.
Don't do that!
Just a friendly reminder that being too grabby with a random NPC could get you in trouble.
I'm warned. What was that?
Is that preacher in Whiterun being too loud? You can actually slap him to shut him up temporarily.
I breathe now! I love...
Both PLANCK and HIGGS together add an extra dimension of reality and interactivity to Skyrim that previously was not thought possible when the VR port first released. Alongside those three core components of mods, there are a multitude of other ones that greatly enhance your experience in terms of eliminating UI elements and menus in order to maximize your time in-game. SkyUI is a very popular mod for traditional Skyrim on PC, if not the most popular one, and there's also a VR version. It makes sorting through menus such as your inventory and spellbook much smoother, as more information is displayed to you at once. Certainly better than the clunkiness of the old UI. I personally use a variant called Dear Diary, as I like the paper aesthetic and the tidiness of the quick menu. moreHUD UI makes the game provide more information than vanilla about the objects you observe in-game, with details such as item weight and value. Minimal enemy health bar does exactly what it says and changes up the look of floating health bars, opting for a more simplistic look that's not as in your face. Clear HUD VR allows you to remove resource bars such as health, stamina, and magicka, as well as elements like the sneak eye from your view in-game. Mods like Wearable Health Bar's Soul Gauge and Spellwheel VR offer solutions to see those resource bars in a way that doesn't clutter your field of view. In addition to the resource bars Spellwheel VR can attach to your wrist, it also provides an intuitive menu that forms from each of your hands, allowing you to select weapons, spells, powers, and consumables very quickly. It's incredibly customizable, allowing you to dictate what is selectable with each hand, and even interact with HIGGS, so selecting a potion will actually cause you to hold one, and from there, you can consume it by bringing it to your mouth as you normally would. Being able to select spells quickly with both hands via Spellwheel is incredibly smooth, avoiding the hassle of going through your favorites or, God forbid, that endless spellbook. Speaking of magic, there's also the magic improvements for VR mod, which, though minor, adjust the crosshair so you can go from pointing with your controller like a gun to aiming with your palms, making it actually feel like magic is shooting out of them. There's even the Strange Runes mod, which causes bright rotating runes to appear around your hands as you are casting spells for that extra flair. You can even adjust the glow the runes emit to use them as a light source to navigate dark areas without the use of a torch. Continuing with the magic theme, perhaps one of the most satisfying mods is Conduit, which lets you temporarily enchant a one-handed weapon with the magic in your hand. Equip a frost spell in your left hand, and grab the weapon in your right hand, and a frost effect is applied to it. There's variations for fire, frost, shock, and even healing spells. Summoning a twister of fire from your sword for the first time is an incredibly thrilling feeling in VR. When it comes to archery, the simplistic realistic archery mod will require you to reach behind your back to grab an arrow just as if you had a quiver on your back. With the Weapon Throw VR mod, you can, you guessed it, throw weapons at your enemy and even call them back like Thor's hammer. If you find the callback feature too game-breaking, you can also turn that functionality off. Need to stop that pesky archer from shooting at you? Throw a dagger at him and knock him down. When it comes to melee combat, we of course have mentioned PLANCK, where your enemies' bodies react to your weapons, but we can also turn avoiding damage into a more active experience as well. There are two separate mods, Crouch to Dodge VR and Physical Dodge VR. With Crouch to Dodge, you, well, crouch to dodge. Crouching down physically will give you a small window of invincibility, so when you see you're about to get hit, crouch down to avoid the damage. This might seem overpowered if you start spamming it, but hey, spamming crouch means you end up working your actual body, so there is a real life trade-off. With Physical Dodge VR, stepping quickly to the side, crouching, or a sudden change in direction will activate a slow time effect, allowing you to get out of attack range. This mod of course requires that you actually have space in your playing area to accommodate for the movement. Pick one of these two mods according to your personal preference. Dual Wield Block VR allows you to block when holding two weapons, a feature not available in the base game. Now I'd like to quickly highlight some of the smaller mods that are a part of the FOOS mod list. Realistic mining for VR and VR Refit, Mine, Chop, and Drop, allow you to physically mine ore and chop wood, with the resources falling to the ground for you to pick up. Be Seated VR causes a prompt to show up on screen when using a piece of furniture in-game, so you can physically sit in real life before your character is put into a seating position. And finally, the True 3D Sound for Headphones mod fixes the issues the original game had with its dodgy directional sound. As I've said before, the FOOS mod list as installed through the Mabajack program is a great way to play a modded version of Skyrim VR to experience the game in a brand new and exciting way. However, There are a few personal touches that I use in my own mod list that I like to mention as options to add onto an installation of Foos if you would like. The Dialogue Movement Enabler VR mod allows you to move your character with your control stick while you're locked in place due to dialogue. This can help if you're caught in an awkward position during a conversation or when the game blacks everything out because you're too close to an NPC or a wall. The Pole Mastery Hookshot or Grappling Hook mod is originally meant for the flat version of the game, but also surprisingly works well in VR. Aim the grappling hook at the desired location and your character will zip to it. Being a big fan of the Zelda series, such a simple mod brings me so much joy. Just be careful where you aim so you don't get stuck in a wall. The Foos mod list does come with an option to enable a mod called Dragonborn Speaks Naturally, which allows you to select dialogue options by saying them out loud, but it requires some additional setup beyond just using the auto installer. Personally, I think it is more trouble than it's worth, and if you do want to roleplay, you can always just speak out whatever dialogue option you're selecting, followed by your own manual button press. The actual speech recognition mod I want to highlight is Dragonborn Unlimited, which allows you to use Skyrim's iconic dragon shouts by speaking out the words of power.
Foos. You're gonna die for that.
Much in the same way that Spell Wheel eliminates the need to go through stacks of menus to access your spells, Dragonborn Unlimited does the same for shouts, as long as you can memorize the dragon tongue.
Ease.
It's a very rewarding feeling, being able to seamlessly use the various shouts you've unlocked if you've taken the time to add the words of power to your memory. Now you have the chance to showcase true mastery of the voice like the Dragonborn you are. In addition to the shouts, you can also issue commands such as map to bring up the map, or even equip spells by saying your names and the corresponding hand you want them assigned to.
Flames left.
I'll leave a tutorial on how to install Dragonborn Unlimited in the description of this video. I may make a video tutorial on installing some of these mods in the future, but this video is supposed to be a showcase for the modded Skyrim VR experience rather than a formal guide. Between VRIK gestures, Spell Wheel, and Dragonborn Unlimited, there are a multitude of ways for you to use spells, shouts, and various other functions without the need to dive into menus, allowing you to focus more on your journey through Tamriel. After having a taste of playing Skyrim VR through a crafted mod list, it'll be hard to go back to playing Skyrim in any other way. Adventurers returning to Skyrim or those willing to learn how to add individual mods can experience a plethora of high-quality quest mods like Vigilant, where you rebel against the Daedric Prince Molag Bal. You'll go through 4 acts of story, starting you off as a new Vigilant of Stendarr, and work your way through rookie missions, explore an abandoned city, and uncover the mystery of a haunted mansion, ultimately culminating in a showdown against Molag Bal himself after venturing through the Oblivion Plain of Cold Harbor. Mods can even take you outside of Skyrim into areas like the county of Bruma in Cyrodiil, through the Beyond Skyrim Bruma mod, which feels like an official expansion akin to Dragonborn, or you can go to the east of High Rock in the Beyond Reach mod. Mods like these allow even those familiar with Skyrim to have an incredible first-time experience in VR. For help on modding Skyrim VR, there are great resources available, such as the Skyrim VR subreddit and also very helpful video tutorials by channels like Gamer Poets when it comes to the different tools and programs involved in modding the game. Hopefully this showcase has given you an idea of the type of experience Skyrim VR can provide today. When I decided to take the plunge into VR last summer with the Quest 2, I did not imagine that I would have poured over 500 hours into Skyrim VR, but it's just that easy to lose yourself in the world of Tamriel with the level of interactivity that a modded Skyrim VR can provide. I encourage you to take the dive if you had the capacity to. I hope you'll be able to craft an adventure of your very own in the land of Tamriel. Put on that headset, Dragonborn.